Welcome, everyone, to the Joy of NFTs. I am really excited to do this episode today with two amazing artists. The purpose of the show is to bring some light into the NFT artists and open up the conversations between artists, collectors, and members of the NFT community, and also show a little bit of the creative process of the artist. So we'll go into an artist challenge later on during the episode. So stick to see it at the end. It's gonna be very interesting, especially on this one. But today I have the pleasure of having Otherworld and Ronald Ong, both amazing artists, 2D and mixed media, surreal artists. You can check out their work at superrare.com, both with the same names, Otherworld and Ronald Ong. And without further ado, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
It's Friday, so it's a good day.
I know everybody's like ready to relax. I'm ready to relax. I just came from my trip, and
Yeah.
it's been a while, 2 weeks. And how are you guys doing? I want to ask first because we were talking about this before we started recording. You both are artists, but you're also have many other things going on outside of your life, like student. You had a student life while you were creating art. Some of you graduated recently. Congrats to Ronald. Uh,
Thanks a lot.
but why don't you give like a little background of you and how long you've been creating your art?
You want to go first, Ronald?
Now you go first. I'm still processing because I just woke up.
Yeah. Um. So how long I've been creating? I think I started my Otherworld page on Instagram like basically when COVID had started. Um, when the lockdown started, I had just like a little bit more free time on my hands because um, my lab closed down. So that's the other part is I'm a PhD student, um, and I work with cells, and it has to be in the lab. So I think all the labs nationwide, or most of them, shut down for about like 2 3 months,
Mhm.
3 months, and then so yeah, with that time I was at home. Um, I'd always wanted to start like an art page and work on my art more consistently. Um, but yeah, before that, I was mainly just making art um, for fun. I still do it for fun, but it was more like just very sparsely over time. More like I would doodle or draw and like paint something just for fun throughout my life. Mostly drawings with pencil, um, and I did some painting uh, in some parts, and then but yeah, the digital art started, I would say, about like 2 years ago, around there.
Wow, that's not too long ago. And what was it that made you? I mean, obviously you had the free time, but do you have anyone like in your family or friends of yours that are in the art scene, or what kind of sparked that creative side for you?
Um, Nobody very close to me that's really in the art scene, but my mom is artistic, um, and also my dad. Like I didn't know until recently, but my dad uh, was very good at drawing. He doesn't really draw anymore as much. My mom is as well, but she does a lot of like crochet art. So
Mhm.
she'll make. She used to make like paintings, basically, but with crochet. Like, s-
Yeah, like
yeah,
the circle ones that
yeah,
you
yeah,
draw and you do like landscapes.
yeah. So this is
I've
things like with yarn. So basically, um, yeah, they're both like my parents are creative people. Even though they didn't do that for their careers or jobs, it's just for fun that they've done it and as a hobby. Um, but yeah, that's the two main people that.
That's super cool. And I want to dive into like their reaction when they find out that you were doing this on the side because you've been extremely successful. But I also want to go to Ronald and get your background. When did you start? And same question, like inspiration from your family or any external factors.
All right. So I started off like doing art from Instagram. I think it was about like 7 years ago. I actually started like with photography because I always like take my cameras around, like phone camera, just like do shootings, but I don't have like a like professional camera because I was like a student back then. I couldn't afford like a professional camera like everyone else. And during those days of Instagram, people were just like posting like really, really like fancy landscapes. And I mean, I just couldn't travel anywhere. So I just decided to just, why not? I just try out like stock photos and just mash things up and started my own way of creating art. So it was about until 2 years later, after I started to create more and more, like create on a daily basis, people started to notice my work more. And I think that's how it started to just like became a thing for me, like a life. Like I didn't realize that art just became a huge part of my life because before all this, like when I was young, I went to like painting class, like art class, because my parents like just because Asian parents they would just send their kids to a lot of different classes to like to see like which talents like they really fit with. So
Uh,
I've been to like piano, been to like art classes, but I didn't like both of them, even like art classes, because I was told the way that I should draw, like follow the like instructions and everything. I just don't like. I just like to like just draw my own.
mhm,
I think it's the, and then I quitted like art class. I just like draw occasionally, like during the class when the class going on. I just scribble like any random things that just come on my mind. I just like draw the text or anything. So maybe that was like very early inspiration of like how I actually started to like dip my toes into art. And yeah, I don't have like any parents around me or family members that are doing art currently. So what I'm doing right now is like totally like odd, like strange to them because they're all my dad is an like engineer, but he lost his job like due to COVID everything. So he just doesn't believe in art. And but my mom, he does a little bit of art like drawing and some um how to say like just paintings here and there, canvas painting sometimes. But there was a long while ago before like we have like a family. So yeah, there's not much of art like family background to be expected here. So it's more of like me on my own and my art, just chilling.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's super cool. And you also just graduated from med school,
yeah,
correct?
yeah.
That's
So
so.
it's
Are you going to be like the first doctor NFT artist?
actually I don't think I'm the first because I actually know like quite a few artists that are actually surgeons,
Oh,
but
really?
they just don't. Yeah, I actually connected with them over a while ago. They were like neurosurgeon, they were like general surgeon. So it's
Wow.
I was like mind blown. Like, how do you do this? Because right now I'm still contemplating my life choices and like whether should I dive into medicine or art because
Right.
it seems like a totally two different things. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah,
And I think my main question for you guys is like, because you've both been very successful. If you go on Super Rare, you've had amazing sales numbers. If we talk like objectively speaking, you guys are not like new in the NFT game. You could have 100% taken this artistic side 100% and live off of that. So what have made you both kind of keep your your PhD work that you do and continuing your education in med school uh, when you have kind of this like huge success in the artistic side of it?
Um, so for me, like I like both subjects, science, and I also like love art. Um, and I started like I was, I guess, in my second year or beginning to go into my second year of my PhD when I started my art page, and um, things started going well for me. But and it has been a thought, like I have thought about quitting school for art. It's been, I would say, mildly tempting, but I just uh, I just think ahead. I'm like, okay, it might be easier, and I'll it might be better for my art right now. But let's say like years down the line, 10 years, I don't want to regret like quitting my program, and it's something I want to complete, and even if I don't pursue that path of the scientific path, even if I go and be an artist 100%, I still want to complete that
Finish
um,
it. Yeah.
as like a challenge or just something I started. Um, and yeah, I have like a project in the lab, so I want to complete that specifically as well. So
I respect that 100%. And like this question is not to um it's not necessarily to like trying to convince you to do it. It's more of like I want to know like what's what are you thinking, and that makes total sense. Like if you put a lot of effort into something, and um I think it has a lot of integrity from your part to want to finish it. What about you, Ronald?
So I had this thought of just like leaving med school because med school was so tough, and
Yeah.
I mean I heard I saw my friends just struggle everywhere else, and they were like losing motivation because there were just endless amount of assignments to do and a lot of like presentations and exams every week, and I just decided that I'm gonna complete like finish my degree at least, and at least we have like a security like net to fall back on, unless like art didn't work out because back then art couldn't like really make any money for me. I was just doing art on like a side hobby. I didn't know like I couldn't make money out of art, which is totally impossible back then. I made like sales for prints for maybe like 2 3 prints per month. So I just didn't like see it like I could turn art into like full career. And as for med school, and I talked to my friends a lot, but they were like, should I quit med school? Because they were like, you should definitely do that because you have a really huge like platform on Instagram. I was like, but that doesn't guarantee that I can like go full time.
Mhm.
So I've been thinking a lot even until that the day I finished my final professional exam, which is for like it's like a board exam
Mhm.
to graduate. And I decided that now I'm gonna continue both. I'm gonna do both because I started off medicine because I was passionate to like treat people. I look because I have like I used to have like health conditions, right? And I respect like I look up to doctors that actually helped me a lot through those times. So they inspired me to like just keep going. And I've been always been thinking whether should I just like completely ditch my medicine degree and just go art full time. And what I realized that if I turn art full time, I might not be where I am today because I used to be doing like medicine and every like a lot every day. So when I'm stressed out, I just turn to art. So
Mhm.
it's like you have this real life going on that inspires you to like create in your
Yeah.
art to really sparks creativity. So if I just imagine myself if I'm just doing art full time, I
Mhm.
might just be burnt out faster than I'm right now because I don't have any other things in my life to distract me to really keep me going. It just art, or if I don't do it well, my life is gonna fall apart because I have no like income to sustain myself.
Yeah.
So it's really, really I mean I heard like people to say like, oh, I'm going independent full-time artist, but I don't think I'm at that phase right now yet to be confident to like do that.
Yeah.
Maybe down the line if I really do not like my job as a
Mhm.
doctor, then maybe I will consider like like switch paths or
Yeah.
just try different things because
What kind of
it's
doctor? What kind of doctor do you want to be, or what field?
Oh, this is a good question. I probably want to be like a public, like work in the public health sector, because I
Mhm.
always believe in prevention medicine, and um, not to say I do not like seeing patients, but I love to like be at the because after all this pandemic happened, I realized that how important public health is, like preventions, and we need to like how to say like just set up like all these policies for a lot of like new changes in the world. So I just think that we should like I want to dive into this field more in the future because it's more flexible, right? Hours, working hours are more flexible, if so. And I've dreamt of like working like WHO, like World Health Organization, because I mean that was just part of me thinking that, yeah, like let's
That's
see,
super
because
interesting. Yeah. No, that's super interesting. And I like what you said about, like having two activities that allows you to not burn out in one of them because you're not in it like 100% all the time. So you have that time to rest and get kind of like inspiration from your surroundings and then come back to it when you feel like it. I think that's actually really interesting dynamic that I haven't seen before, and you both kind of have that. So that's really cool to see. And I'm sure that there's other people that maybe have their jobs or something that they actually do like, but then they're also like the art. So you guys are like a perfect example on how you can be successful at both. Let's talk about a little bit about your art in particular, like your style. Is very you guys combine different things, whether it is an image with your own drawings, or whether like you, Ronald, like two different images where you kind of like merge them together. So can you both kind of walk me through how you discovered like this style, very distinctive style that you both have?
Yeah, so I think I started very similarly to Ronald, and like I was mainly doing collages and like mashups of different photos and things like that I would find online. Like I first started the first time I picked up digital drawing on the iPad, I didn't like it because I wasn't used to like the drawing and that sort of thing. But when I tried this collage approach where I was cutting and pasting different things and altering the colors, this and that, I really liked that approach, and I was making maybe a piece every 1 or 2 days. It wouldn't take too long, um, and slowly over time, when I got used to the program Procreate on iPad, and I was doing a lot of these collages, I was doing like these one a day type of things where it was really quick. It was just I tried to kind of slow down a little bit, focus more on one piece at a time, put more emphasis on each piece, and take longer with each one. And I also wanted to uh, add my drawings on top. And I was getting used to the program, so now it felt more natural for me to draw on the iPad. Um, and then it slowly, I drew more and more stuff, and then it kind of, yeah, it resulted in the type of art I make today, which is I'll take different paintings as inspiration and references, and then I'll change their backgrounds using other paintings, and then draw some of the background in, draw the characters in, and change the story of the original piece to something that I want it to be, or a story like a meaning comes to it. Usually during the process, or I'll think of it during the process, and uh, yeah, I really like that approach of making art.
Super unique. What about you, Ronald?
for me, I've actually been to so many phases of my art, and the one thing that I was always thinking about, like, because those days people say like keep like consistency, but I just did find out that like consistency in terms of like style and everything just like keep me like having more burns out. So what I do was when I started off early on, I just like combine different like free stock images of like landscapes together, and then I just create like really dreamy landscape that I dream that I be able to be at there, but I just like don't travel a lot. And move on to how I actually come about like combining animals and food together. It was because I saw like a few like other Instagrammers like combo photos, like a few other people. They just have these photos that combine and then look smooth, like two
Mhm.
items together. So I thought like why not I do it in my own way, on my own style, with my own like colorings and lightings and all that. So it just happened to me that people love it a lot because they find it really funny. But as time goes by, I think about until pandemic happens, I was still creating like the same style of art. I want to make people happy with my art, and that was until I realized that I wasn't really how to say, like, connecting with myself. I feel like I just, the more I create, the more distant I feel myself is from my art. And that was when I started to just really like took a deep, like a long pause from art, and just really look within myself, like what I want to like tell people through my art, like how I'm feeling right now. Because I feel like I just don't get my feelings out a lot through like saying or talking. That's why I decided to just like create pieces that really represent how I feel at a certain point of time. And I'm also really inspired by Rene Magritte, Salvador Dali, and all this kind of art, like really surrealist artists, because I just really fancy like looking through the art and find like how people interpret the art, and just kind of want to like have this own my own interpretation of like the world and everything else, and the
Yeah.
feeling, emotions, everything just through my piece, and it
I
just
can
kind of
definitely, I can definitely see the progression that we've had in your art because, yeah, like you said, you have like the ones that are animals and objects kind of like mixed together, and then you have maybe like two animals that are like mixed together very smoothly. But then you've been diving a little bit deeper into, I guess, a more
conscious level.
yeah, I'm more like that with your latest like a state of mind collection. That was more, that was something that we haven't seen from you before, and it was a little more serious, more deep. Um, what, yeah, how was that transition between like creating things that have been funny, like lighthearted, versus starting to dig into something a little bit more, more complex?
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like a really, I was a really like not confident back then to really like do the transition, because I just worried that people might not like it as much, because all I do back then was like Instagram, and well, like they say it when Instagram is like, if you don't keep like a consistent like
Mhm.
style of work, the engagement might just getting less and lesser. But there was really like a struggle back for me back then, because social media was getting to my head. I was just thinking about like how many likes will I get for this, because um, that's what keeps me like, they say the dopamine like really excites you when you look at the numbers.
Mhm.
And it I just keep repeating that over and over again for like a lot of images, and until I felt like I was really tired of it. I just don't feel have the energy to create it, like the style anymore. And people love it, but for me myself, I was just really not feeling it at all. And I
Mhm.
was, to be honest, I was just creating like how to say, like a date, how to say, like a walking date. So I don't know how to describe. You're just working and working like an art machine. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it got to the point of like having few couple like burnouts within like different images, and I really stopped like creating for like a long time, maybe like a month, because I was also busy with my studies as well. So yeah, it kind of took like a change for me to really like start falling in love with art again right now, which I'm excited, because I don't know where I'm going with my art. I just do it randomly, like do it like out of my subconscious mind. I just like make it happen, or if it doesn't work out, I will just figure out like why and everything. It's great. It's quite fun actually right now what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome that you've been able to kind of transition and work for, create art for you rather than for the algorithm, which I think a lot of artists go through that, especially when they're really big on Instagram and now they're switching to NFTs. I would like to know a little bit of that process of like who told you about NFTs? Like, what do you think about it at the beginning, and what made you like get into it? Otherworld, we're good with you.
Oh, okay. Um, going into NFTs. Um, so yeah, I started on Instagram first, and then my friend who goes by Avaj, Avaaj on Twitter. Um, he's like in real life friend of mine from undergraduate school, and yeah, he was on Twitter for a while before me, and there was he was telling me about like this artist community over there and that sort of thing, and he kind of got me to go to Twitter and to post my art there, and then I really liked it because it's much easier to socialize and find other artists on Twitter, I think, than on Instagram.
Mhm.
Um, and then I just started. That's where I heard NFTs from. Some of these artists were talking about it, and then I think Super Rare was like a really big. Um, back when Ethereum was probably like $300 to $600. Like
Mhm.
Super Rare was like a big. A lot of artists were trying to get in on it and trying to apply to Super Rare. And so like I heard of NFTs, I heard of Super Rare was like the big talk. So I didn't apply straight away. I kind of wanted to work and make a few better pieces because you need to like have like 5 pieces or something to 5 of your best pieces you apply with. I think I had a few in mind. I looked at like my history on Instagram. I had probably made like already 100 to maybe like 150 like posts or something at that time. And I only found maybe like 2 or 3 pieces that I really liked that I would be like, okay, that's really good enough. And then I made a few more, and then I applied to Super Rare, and then yeah, it's
When was
great. I think it was like 2020, like near the end of 2020,
okay?
maybe like last quarter of 2020. Um, and then I applied. I think I got in maybe like a month later, um, and yeah, that's when everything had changed for me. I would say it was still like kind of slow, gradual. I had to work my way in,
Yeah.
um, multiple pieces and that sort of thing. But um, it was just like, yeah, amazing that I got in. And then like Zach from Super Rare has been like a big supporter of me and um, has helped answer a lot of my questions and that sort of thing. Like, I think that's one of the good things about Super Rare is like you could reach out to the team, um, and they're very like personable, and if they like your art, they're going to tell you, "Hey, we love your art. This is why we picked you," for example, and they help you in that process. So at that point, I was like starting to get kind of. I hadn't like when I applied, I hadn't drawn any fiends yet, like my character, the hooded
Mhm.
character. But it was kind of I wanted to make pieces that were more like museum or gallery quality rather than like social media quality.
Mhm.
It's like it's not something where you just kind of look at it, oh, it's cool, you like it, scroll past. I want it to be more like you have to look at this piece for a while, and multiple people get multiple meanings from it and that sort of thing. So I approached art in that style, um, and NFTs I think really allow you to take your time with your digital art, whereas like if you want to become a big digital artist without NFTs, like if you just want that on social media and have to like, I want to get your art known, you have to like kind of churn out a lot of work, like how Ronald was saying,
Mhm.
um, and sort of create art that's good for Instagram or good for just like, oh, people look at it, they like it, and they kind of forget about it almost.
Mhm.
So it's like a big shift from those two different styles. But it felt like a right thing to do. It felt natural in a way, and it felt like okay, now putting more time into a piece, kind of
Yeah.
you're more happy with the end, what comes out in the end usually.
Do you feel weird, like understanding the concept of selling your digital art on the blockchain? Because for you, it seems like it was pretty natural. Like you were like, oh yeah, and I talked to them, and then I started doing my thing. But like, did you think anything of it being like different, or were you just like, yeah, it makes sense?
Yeah, it was different for sure, and I think like when I had first gotten into it, it was like NFTs were just starting to come up, and like
Mhm.
I think like Ferocious, like he sold a piece for like I think for like $8,000 or something, and that was like a really high sale. During that time, like wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Digital art, it was still during that time, so I thought it was really cool because I was never too much into like the crypto world, but I knew of it, and people talk about it. Seems like that's the way the world is going.
Mhm.
Um, and it just kind of, it didn't take me too long to understand why NFTs have value, because I could just see, a lot of these digital currencies have value. It's the scarcity on the blockchain, and art. Like, people who own this NFT, they feel like they own it. They have, uh, it's in their wallet. Um, Similarly to how like it's hanging on your wall, it's just a digital ownership. So um, it was for sure like, I guess it was natural to accept it because I just kept seeing it, and it was like I understood kind of about crypto, but
Yeah.
it was more like people around me, like my friends and stuff, were like not too thinking too serious about it. Like they're like, oh, that's just, or just make money, like do it, whatever. But they thought it was stupid, you know.
Mhm.
Um,
What they think now?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they don't think it's really stupid anymore.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go on Super Rare and Google Otherworld just to have an idea. But Ronald, what about you? Who introduced you to NFTs, and how was that transition for you?
So I was on like a long break, like in 2021, early 2021, and I just keep like one day I just decided to just jump on Instagram, and my friend just messaged me. He goes by the name of Mark Renders. He's a 3D artist, and we've been friends for like a long time. So he asked me like, um, "Do you know NFTs? Like, I think you should try to get into it." I was like, "What?" It was 2021. I had no idea. I was like, "Is that like a It's like a project or something that like I'm part of it and I didn't aware of, or people like a part of it." I was like, he was like, "No, do you know like people?" I was like, "Yeah, like I've been following people art for many years right now." And he said, "Do you know that he just sold like pieces for like $1 million?" Like, oh wait, what? We are able to sell digital art right now? Like finally, like artists are actually getting some recognition for what they do, and not just like being paid and get a work done, and then um I mean like an art machine, as I mentioned just now, right? So I felt like, wait, I need to check it out. And I really love the whole idea of having the art just like live on the blockchain, because like in real world, like art, you need to manage, maintain it, you need a lot of like other fees, like transport fees, everything else, just to maintain a piece of art. But to be able to live on the blockchain forever, and I was like, wow, like this is so cool. And he asked me like, come join Twitter. That there's a lot of people on there. I was like, okay, it's really new for me because I was like a really small like Twitter account. I just started a small Twitter account. Like I haven't used a Twitter account for many years, like 7 years actually, and it has like 100 followers. So I was just like, so in this huge world of NFTs, I'm so lost. Like, who should I start talking to? Like, I have no idea because I've been disconnected from Instagram for a while, and I don't know who to reach out to ask for help. So I think the first person that I talked to, which was on NFTs and also on Instagram, was that I followed a long while ago, was like Danguis. Like he does a really cool like those like cyberpunk styles, and I asked him like, so like what is this whole deal about? So he just taught me through everything, like how should I mint it and the platforms, everything. And it was until March 2021, which I started to like start to mint like few pieces on foundation, and I heard about super rare, and they said that a lot of people like try to get on there, but it's really tough. So what happened was like I just randomly like DM like one of this like super rare, like I think I DM and Remy, and she was just and wrong, and she was just like, "Hey, I love your art so much. Like we should get you on super rare." I was like, "Wow!" Like I was about to apply actually, and you said no, like I love your art so much. I had just seen your art somewhere else, and I was like, "What really?" I didn't know like my art like on Instagram back then like might could have been recognized by people that on Twitter nowadays. They're like, "Oh, that's you." So sorry for the noise back, but it's just some constructions, and I was just like so thankful for like Super, because the people there are really nice. They are like friendly people to reach out to, because I actually have issues with like minting, and something like my work doesn't like load or everything. And whenever I text them like personally, they will just really respond really fast. And I mean, they've been really supportive of my journey and all, and I'm so grateful for that. And still blows my mind nowadays. Even I
Yeah.
talk to my about NFT, they were like, because they didn't know I'm doing NFTs actually, my real friends. So they were like, they actually know an NFT through those like PFPs, those 10K
Mhm.
PFPs, just like
Right.
nothing to do with art. So they asked me like, "Hey Ronald, like, you do art, right? Do you know NFTs?" I was like, "Yeah." And then he said that, "Do you know which profile pictures should I buy?" And I was like, maybe you should buy mine." He's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was like, "Oh, you're doing art?" Yeah, yeah, I'm doing like one of one. So they were like, "What? One of ones?" Like I only saw like a lot of like different like like projects going on. Like they didn't know about one of one, so I really like gave them like a whole, not a lecture, just a really brief like introduction to what is like
Yeah.
NFTs, not just like PFPs. And they were like, "Oh, so now you can actually like sell your art for money."
Mhm.
And afterwards, when they learn about that, they were starting to be like, "So Ronald, when you gonna like treat us for the next like launch after we make a sale or everything?" So it's been crazy. Like they're just asking me about NFTs and everything. So
Yeah.
I'm actually like grateful to be able to like maybe share a bit to them. But me myself right now still getting like feeling a bit lost here and there because I don't catch up on Twitter that much. I just do my own thing, and yeah.
Mhm. No, amen. And I think that's so common that people think that NFTs are only the PFPs or like the profile pictures, but there is so many applications for it. Art is one of them. It could be collectibles. It could be um, sports, like sports cards, or even sport characters in a game. It could be so many different things. That could be a whole another podcast within itself. But yeah, that's so cool that you guys have both found like acceptance afterwards, and you both kind of naturally fell into it. You weren't. It looks like you weren't really like skeptical about it. And now you've kind of like you're fully in it. Um, I wanted to ask, you talked about the Fiends, Otherworld. How did you came up with that name? Or like, at what point were you like, this are gonna be the Fiends, and do they all have different names? Or like, tell us a little bit more about your
Um,
characters.
yeah, so the name the name came after, I would say, the characters. I didn't like go into it. Oh, I'm gonna draw this character. I'm gonna make a fiend, but um, I there was one of the first pieces I kind of um, just drew on the characters in the piece, and it was kind of like a monotone uh, painting with not too much bright colors. Um, and I added these bright color robes on these characters, um, and like pitch black skin, and and then I still did like the X eyes on them that I would do in my old collage art. Um, and then from there, I was like, okay, I like these characters. I want to kind of develop them more, and add more character to the characters. Yeah, just over time, I think even yeah, you could kind of see that they change a little bit. I tried like a different approach as well. Like there's, I don't know if I would call them fiends, but they're very similar in like they have these colorful robes, but like instead of the face, it's like a mask with like two holes for the eyes. They look kind of like
We'll
ghosts.
put some here,
Uh,
the editing portion, so people can see. But yeah, some are, and I'm looking at it on this side, just so you know. But yeah, you have hooded ones. You have some that have like animal like faces. You have some that are like almost like demon looking ones. So are they all fiends or?
the fiends, I would say, are the ones with the hoods. Usually, the characters in those pieces with pitch black skin.
Mhm.
Um, there's like the one. There's a wolf. That's a different. I would say I wouldn't call the wolf a fiend, but um, that's kind of like similar art style, but I would say a bit different, where it's not like based on a specific painting, or like I don't use really a reference of a Renaissance era painting in those ones. It's more of like um, just a different kind of setup for the pieces. I haven't done much of those, but I'm still kind of exploring those
Yeah,
characters as well.
yeah. And you guys support each other in a certain way. How do you guys know each other? How do you guys first like connected?
I saw Ronald on Twitter and his art, and I really like it. And yeah, we support each other. He actually bought one of my NFTs recently with it was with Yugal, and it was a collaboration piece for his project. And Ronald, yeah, got that one. So shout
Wow.
out Ronald, and thank you for that. Yeah. And then Yugal is like an amazing 3D artist. Um, his collection of Dreamers is really, yeah, fantastic. But yeah, um, why don't you chime in on how we got to know each other?
I think I was just scrolling Twitter like one day. I'm not sure did I reach out to you. I think I reached out to you just because I saw the art. I was like, whoa! Like after all these years of Instagram, I've never seen anything like that, and it was just so unique to me because the way he drew the fiends and everything, the character they have different kind of emotions on it. It just makes me like wonder like there's so much stories going on in the piece, and I love how you use like the bright colors and everything else because I always been a fan of like dark art, but not too dark, cause not literal dark, but bright. So you, it's like the how to say like the contradictory, the element that makes me feel that the darker piece is actually the dark piece is actually more darker than it is when it's used in brighter colors than using dark colors. I'm not sure why, cause I feel it that this is how like your art is telling to like speaking to me, and I love you guys work a lot. So I've been following these two like huge people. Like I was like, damn, I need to like. And when I saw the piece that they dropped, like the Dreamer, I was like, okay, this is mine. I need to get it. Like no matter what, like I just forgot about like whatever commitments that I have or whatever. I just like, okay, I'm gonna try and get it. And I think it was like late 3 a.m. for me that night. And when the auction was, because before that it was still like chilling everything, not too much of bits going on until about 3 a.m. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep, and then wake up in like last 5 minutes to check. So what happened was before went to sleep, and I just saw like bids coming in like here and left and right. I was panicking. I was like, no, I'm not gonna lose this. So I just texted. I think I texted you, and then you were like, oh, you're like a lab or something, and I was like, okay, I need to get this. And eventually, I stayed until 5 a.m. for that piece.
And
Bro, yeah,
you put in the work for that.
Yeah, like for the work, like do it for the work like until 5 a.m. So I love it so much. I still it was on my wallpaper for a while ago, but I switched it up because I think people was like weird out like what's going on with the wallpaper because it's too colorful, and I just switched it back to my old wallpaper. But yeah, I've used it for like on my wallpaper for like quite a while because I love your like work.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
yeah.
huge fan.
Thank you, thank you.
That's very cool. Well, I think this is a good stopping point to go into the challenge, which I'm super excited because I've never seen you guys create, or I've never seen like an art like you being created. So I'm really, really curious to see how you guys go about it. So we're back to the challenge portion of the show. So, for those who are new to the show, on this part of the episode, we take a word from Twitter from one of the people that participated, and on this episode, the person who submitted a word was Art Army 17, and the word was connection. So what we're going to do is that we're going to put a 10-minute timer, and Ronald and Otherworld are going to have 10 minutes to start a piece from scratch, pretty much. Okay. Everybody got their pencils ready, their mouse ready.
Yeah.
All right. So do your thing. And I'm gonna start the timer right now.
So we don't commentate; we just go about it.
You can commentate. I'm actually looking forward to see how you do this.
Okay.
So it's, I guess, commentate on how are you gonna pick the images.
For me, picking images could just take a minute, and it can also take like days until I find something worth working on. But let's say like I've already picked out a few different pieces with that'll serve as really good references. But let's say this one, this piece right here, I might not use all the characters here, but I might use some of them. So I would basically go, you copy this, and then I would go into my Procreate and just paste it in there. So yeah, usually my canvas I work with like, I think this is like 7,200 by 6,000 pixels, something like that. Normally like photos are not that big, but they don't need to be, I guess. We're not going to use all these textures in the end. It'll be different. But let's say we want to focus on this one part here. And as far as the word connection goes, I would say like a lot of my pieces, I don't have a meaning until halfway, or I might have a meaning to it, but I'll work it in throughout the process. So for example, we could look at this piece, and I don't know how I would work in connection right now, but it would come to me later, let's say.
It doesn't have to be in the 10 minutes. It can be later on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be literal. It can be very abstract.
Yeah. And then I might look at other pieces for some characters. Let's say like these two characters here, I might be interested in, and using them as a reference in the piece. Usually I work on the characters and like the foreground first, and then I would go and maybe look for like background pieces, things that will go in the background. Like for example, this castle by Carl Lessing, you know, I could use it as like a small piece of a background. And then let's see what else I got.
That's cool. I'm gonna let you do your thing, and I'm gonna focus on Ronald here, that's been creating silently. So how did you get this image of this guy?
So I it's actually a platform called you can search it out like human anatomy artist for artists. So it's like because I need to like find like human models to work with, and I don't shoot my own photos. So what is do that I sign up like a subscription plan, and then it just have like a lot of credits. You can download like one image like for like less than $1, and they have like different poses that you can choose from. So yeah, and what I'm going right here in is I'm not sure what is going on here, but I'm thinking of a more Renee approach, which is like using like my favorite elements like the sky and the clouds, and just try to like keep it going, because as usual, right? Like I do not know what I'm doing, and because like 10 minutes for me is like just a so little time for me to figure out what's going on. And I just agree with like what like Otherworld said, like I don't have a meaning of it until I find like I find the meaning after I create or while I create. And I don't usually define like the meaning of it, because I love to leave like more like space for interpretation out to people to like what they kind of like see it and kind of understand it. Because previously when I was doing animal art, people love it, but they kind of just scroll past it, and then they won't like really have like a really leave like a huge impression on it. So it's kind of like interesting to create in a way that people can remember and have more deeper connection. But maybe like less people like maybe resonate, but when people resonate it, they might actually have a really, really deep connection with the work. It's something that I kind of fans like how to say, look forward to hear from. Yeah,
that's the best. And it's so interesting. So Ronald, you're using Photoshop and Otherworld here is using Procreate. Ronald, do you ever like draw, or do you always use Photoshop for your pieces?
I do draw over like my images. Yeah, I do draw. I mean a little bit on Procreate to like to do some touch-ups, but other than that, I don't draw as much as Otherworld do, because his work is like a lot of based around like drawings.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, I just do like touch-ups on Procreate here and there, but right now
Yeah.
I'm just,
Makes sense.
gosh, I'm struggling here.
No, you're good. I'm gonna let you figure out your concept there. That's super cool that we're seeing the creation of a fiend live right now. So how long does it take you to actually finish a piece, Otherworld? Because it looks like you're legit like drawing in and creating like so many layers on top of the original image just for one.
Yeah, there was, I think maybe some pieces I would do like a solid color of like blue, and then more as I went further into the piece, what I started to actually very recently is like,
Oh, we keep losing you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, so like right now I just do like the dark background, which I'll use to kind of, I'll draw over it with the blue, but I won't make it like just a one solid color of blue. I want it to have like shading, and I'll add all that in later. But yeah, I think taking a bit longer with the coloring and making sure the textures look good is like goes a long way.
Yeah.
How finding the final piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am just like super inspired by seeing this process, because I feel like this is something that anyone, I don't know, I feel like anyone could do it, but I haven't seen anyone actually do this style before. So it looks simple, but it's not. So it's super cool to see it live. For those who want to know more about Ronald and Otherworld, you can find them just again on Twitter and on Instagram. Ronald at Ronald Ong, no underscore, no nothing. On Super Rare Twitter and Instagram, and Otherworld is Otherworld underscore XX on Instagram, Twitter, and Super Rare. So really plug there for you guys.
Thank you.
A lot. My honor.
Appreciate it.
You guys have let's see, 1 minute and 20 seconds.
This is not going well.
For those watching, the Otherworld and Ronald will have the chance to finish this piece after the show, and you'll be able to see the before and after. So don't worry, this will not be the final piece. I kind of like the direction that you're taking, Ronald. Do you have some sort of idea of what concept it's gonna be?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually want to create like two just like humans, like connection. I find it like two humans connecting, but I have a hard like image going on here, which I don't think I have the time to fit in. It's more like I want to tell a story of maybe we are connecting with our minds, but sometimes not with our hearts. I don't know, but yeah.
No, that's good. I like that.
I'm figuring out what is going on.
Hey, we're all figuring it out. You guys have 2, 1.
God.
Time's up. Wow.
I got like,
You got
Wait,
half of a fiend.
yeah.
how can I see what's going on with his screen? Because I can't seem to see
Oh, you
what.
can't see each other's
Yeah.
work.
Maybe if
So that's cool because I'm the only one that can see both
Oh.
at the same time, and you'll have to watch it to see it. You have to watch the recording to see both of you creating at the same time. But we have it here. You'll be able to see it. And then we'll do another recording to reveal the final pieces so we can see kind of the before and afters. So thank you so much to both of you. Thank you, Ronald, for waking up early, and thank you, Otherworld, for jumping on here after a long day on a Friday night. Both of you are amazing as artists and as people. I know that you guys always support other artists. So yeah, just super glad to have you and to have met you. So thank you for coming on. I already gave all your socials. Everybody go follow them. Have an amazing night and morning. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you guys.